Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
A very good morning to you. You are watching the Newsline program. I am Chaturanga Puarachi, filling in for Farah Shawkat since he's abroad in the UK with the family. Now, it's a bit of a misty morning here in Colombo, kind of like the situation pertaining to the local government elections, a bit misty. What I mean is it's not clear as to when the elections will be held and what will happen in terms of the election in the future. Now, the people of the country should know when the election will be held and when the people will have their democratic right to exercise their franchise. I am going to talk to two gentlemen today, election monitors in our country who have been doing a yeoman service from a long time in our country. The Executive Director of the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, or PAFREL, Mr. Rohane Tiarachi, and the Executive Director of the CAFE organization, the Campaign for Free and Fair Elections, Mr. Kirti Tennapur. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for both for
good morning, Chaturanga.
Now, I want to ask Mr. Hettiarachi the first question. Now, you have been an election monitor for a long time, and in your years of service to this country, let me first ask you, how long have you been in the service?
I have been working with this sector almost 20 years now. I joined in 1994 as an observer. Then I became a district coordinator, national coordinator, assistant director. Now I am the executive.
So 20 years.
Almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. In your 20 years, I'm sure you've seen many governments come and go.
Exactly.
Has there been a situation where elections have been delayed like this?
Well, the last, let's say last 2 decades, there are a couple of occasions that the elections were delayed. And also, more than that, there were staggered elections, basically in the last regime with the provincial elections. And also, I think you can remember in 1977, that's 2 years delay. Then again, parliamentary elections with the UNP government. But this is the first time which we noticed that 2.5 years delay for the local government elections. But you know, some of the local authority area, for example, Pudugurupa and Mudubadapattu, now almost 40 years now. After 1977, we didn't have elections over there. And Batiklo, Jaffna, Vaunia, in certain local elections, I think due almost 10 years now. But in overall, more than 2.5 years for the rest of the local authorities in the country.
Mr. Tennago, now you're, in terms of being election monitor, you're also a public activist. You have been speaking out about many issues in the country. Now, we saw yesterday a situation where several nomination lists provided by the Flower Bud Party, the Podujana Peramuna, were rejected in certain urban councils and certain Pradesh Sabhas. Now, my question to you is, when this happens, can these gentlemen or ladies go into taking legal action? Can they take legal action?
I mean, when it comes to the local council elections, this rejection of nominations have taken so many times in history. In 2011, we saw that a number of nominations being rejected, both from the UPFA and the UNP, JVP nominations were also rejected. At that time, they went to the courts and they got relief. Their nominations were accepted on conditions. They were allowed to make some corrections and still allowed to participate in the elections. I think the same scenario could apply this time also. I am so sure that the political parties, the UPFA, ICTAC and the SLFP will definitely go to the courts on the rejection, appealing to accept their nomination papers. There's a still possibility that all three main political parties who where the nominations were rejected will definitely go to the courts, and the court will have a fair hearing for that.
Now, does that mean, Mr. Hettiarach, now we've seen a situation where we saw certain parties accusing the other party, saying, look, you all are trying to delay the elections. We saw the SLFP accusing the UNP, then the UNP accusing the SLFP. This has been going on. Now, they have been saying that every time they want to delay the election, the quick mechanism is to go to court and take some form of judicial action so that the election gets delayed. Now, is this what we are going to see again? Do you think that this will once again be construed as a way to delay the election?
Yeah, go to the court is not quick actions actually. We have experience in the past. For example, again the Pudugurupa and Mudubadapattu, almost 5 years the same case went up. The local government authority, basically their period is 4 years, but this judiciary system is take long period to get the justice. For example, these upcoming local elections, as a parallel we file a case. Now it's almost 2 years now. So we are asking the soon elections, but unfortunately court is going up and they are giving dates maybe 6 months after, again the 3 months, something like that. But this is, as you said, that almost all the parties has responsible for this delay. We know that the previous government, they had their demarcation delimitations committee, and it's highly political motivated group. That there was people were challenged, and there was 52 technical issues identified the Elections Commission from 2013. It took 4 years to take up it to the cabinet and the parliament. The both government has responsible. But in the present scenario, I think whoever in the power now, they are the responsible people. There may be a lot of people in the past period, a lot of politicians or maybe the previous government, they are responsible. But at the moment, the present government, that is their duty to give a fair chance for the people to select their local representative.
Mr. Tennakoon, the Prime Minister has provided a hint to say when the election will be held. He has said that it will be held the first Saturday of the month of February, after the first Saturday. Do you think that's a solution that we can go on? It's a date, that's a promise from the government?
Chaturanga, we know that for 93 local council elections, the nominations were closed yesterday, and the 21st, the other local councils nominations will be closed. At any time after that particular date, the election commission is having powers to announce the election date. The announcement of the election days is basically 5 weeks after the nominations to 7 weeks. So basically we are having a practice in Sri Lanka to hold the elections on Saturday. So basically the first available possible date is somewhere around January 27th or 28th.
Right.
But we know that in the middle of a week we don't have, there's no tendency of, basically having elections, because that whole week will be wiped out from the service to the public. So that sort of anti-development the sort of a scenario won't work. So basically the most possible date is February 3rd, but unfortunately we know that the whole country will waiting for the February 4th independence celebrations. We need something like 2,000 police officers to cover that function and all. So most possible date is February 10th, as the president, the Prime Minister announced by that particular day. This is some sort of a calculation anyone can, who is familiar with the election law, can be made out. But here I am not surprised if the election commissioner, the commission will think otherwise and call for maybe something like February 9th or closer date.
So you're basically saying that the elections will be held as what the Prime Minister says?
Definitely, yes.
I wish to add, the thing is, as Keith is said, anybody who has some sort of knowledge about the elections law, they can calculate the date.
Yes.
So whether it is a Prime Minister or any other politician, even in the normal citizens, they can calculate. The election commission has to give at least minimum 5 weeks for the campaign,
right.
5 to 7 weeks. So in this scenario now, we have a two level of the nominations, two places.
Yes.
In one we have completed yesterday, and the second 21st. So if you are going for one single day, then election commissioner has to give maybe get the full period, maybe the 7 weeks. And practically in the last, that is our experience in the past, basically they select Saturday, because of otherwise the government school has to close maybe 2-3 days. So considering all the factors, the elections department basically decide on Saturday. But it's no harm, no matter, they can decide some other day also.
Now in your experience, I'll first draw the attention to Mr. Etiarachi and come to you as well with the same question. Now in your experience, Mr. Etiarachi, now this election system, people are having various views. Some people say, look, this is not the correct system. Some people say, no, this is a good system for the future of our country. Now, both of you all were part of the March 12 movement, am I right? Now, we saw a recent article published by the Ceylon today saying that the politicians are once again casting people who have criminal records or criminals. That's what the article said. Now, this is something very serious. I want to drag your attention there as well. Why do you think the politicians are going back on the promise that was made to you all, the March to Earth movement and the people of this country?
The thing is, actually, even though we try our level best to mobilize the politicians and mobilize the citizens how they should select their representative and select their candidate from the both sides, as a political party and as well as the voters side. But unfortunately, there is no such a public demand. The political party is always trying to find the winning horse. That is their
motto.
Basically, they are considering what is the public demand. There is no such a public demand as we discussed at the March to Earth movement. I mean, it will take some time. We realize now, even the major parties, even up to now, they have nominated some people, those who are not qualified under the March to Earth criteria. We have already got more than 20 cases up to now. We have written to the party leaders as well as the party secretaries. But on the other hand, in case if they fail to bring a capable people, we are going to challenge it on the elections day. We mobilize the voters without considering their party. Whoever bring the capable candidate, the creative people, those who have not any charge related to the corruptions, then the voters will select without considering the party. Because in Sri Lankan contest, the party is thinking that they have a block vote. This is UNP, this is JVP, this is SLFE. So this time voters can select their representative without considering party, because it's a small geographical area. They know the people, whoever coming from UNP, whoever coming from SLFE or a JO, they know the people. So they can select a good person. So we are trying to mobilize the people to take that decisions. We have prepared a scorecard for voters to assess their candidate. With all that, I think we can give more pressure for these upcoming local elections.
Mr. Tenagon, now
we see, I mean, we are seeing this change of the system with the electoral systems here. We were very closely monitoring, observing the pattern and the behavior of the political parties, especially the main political parties who was looking for the nominations during the last 2 weeks. Basically, wherever they had problems, like Valigama, Maharagama for that matter, continuous issues were raised. In Biagama, the issue is the senior politicians knows that the sending culprits to as candidates for a small vote won't win their elections. The people who was known for thuggery, misbehavior and all that, they didn't want their electorates. They did not manage to win their villages, but they somehow got the votes from the other areas. So that's how this Mervyn Silvas and all these known people came into power. But here, now we are having the change of the system. Respected, capable, the people who have shown some commitments with clear hands definitely will get more votes. So that's why when this nomination struggles go on, we saw so much of independent groups are coming on. The smaller political parties have come up now. So I think the trend is very clear that the people will reject the culprits. On the other hand, there's a huge space, especially the former leftist political parties, the new batch, the people who has left out of the system, the people who has sidelined from the main extreme political views, the leadership for that matter, will get a chance to get elected in these elections. That is something very new, and the other hand, something very, very positive in this particular election system.
Now, the female representation is also something that is being spoken about. Now, as election monitors, both of you all have been, as I told you, as I told the viewers as well, doing good service to this country is something very important. But female representation, where everyone else internationally went into recognizing the importance, the role the women have to play in the political system, Sri Lanka has also now moved in 2017. Right step, wrong step, what is happening?
No, it's clearly right step. But even though we get the 25% quota, in case if political party is unable to bring the capable, creative women into the system, if they bring their own colleagues, the area organizers, we know that how they select their candidate by the party organizers in the area. So if they fail to bring a capable people into the system, I don't think that they can deliver anything enough. But I hardly believe if there is a 25% women in the local authorities level, in the proper women, not so-called women
just brought in for the party. Yes.
We can reduce the corruptions in the local level. We can the service delivered by the local authorities, we can improve the service over there. Maybe educations, because we know in our own house how women are encouraging students, their children to do their education. So education system definitely will have more impact if women are there. And also the health. We know how women are working on health in their own household. Then this environment things. So there will be many areas where we can improve if there is the good women in the system. But it's all depend on how parties select the women into their nomination list.
Chaturanga, the one thing what I have seen with the nominations that I mean when it comes to the political parties, especially for the main political parties, they are having more questions than answers, especially selecting female candidates to the areas. There's so much of allegations coming on some politicians that the sexual bribery was asked and sexual favorations were requested by certain candidates and all that. This is something very disturbing on this aspect. But here, one good aspect is that we have seen some of the political parties look for graduates, look for very educated, someone who was get involved doing some home enterprises and all that. So now they are in the system. So it won't blossom, within one term, but still we are having a very big hope of that. In the other hand, one thing we should exercise, especially what happened in Valigam, I'm talking about the rejection of the Valigamar and Maharagama nomination papers. If the women were given a fair chance, of course there were 3 women, of course, for that matter, known how the system works. If they were given this particular responsibility, handovering the nominations and all that, I think definitely those women will do better. At least they will manage their nominations papers to get through. So this is unfairness just because of the gender came on. Or otherwise, especially on Valigama, Takshila was a known lady for commitment, courage, and she fought very hard elections down there to get elected that time. And Khanti Kodikara, whatever said and done on her, she managed to run the Maharagama the municipal council in a way. So those are capable ladies, but they were not given fair chance, and then some others came on and mixed the whole thing up, and finally they lost their opportunities to become the prominent women in the system.
Yes, with that we go into a short commercial break. You are watching Newsline. More on the other side. Welcome back. You are watching Newsline. We are going to talk to Mr. Hettiarachchi and Mr. Tennakon, both known election monitors in our country. We've been talking about the election system. Now I'm going to ask a question from both of you all. You know, as fathers, as husbands, as gentlemen who are running families, that it's not easy to run a family these days because of the high costs of living. Various other problems. There was a train strike recently. Then there are the farmers protesting, saying that they don't have urea. There are various problems in our country with the lack of money. The basic sum up of that is the lack of money in the country. With all of that happening, we see that through the new system, through the new election system, the number of candidates, the number of people who are going to be represented will double. It will go up to about 8,000 people. And that means, Mr. Tennakon and Mr. Hettiarachchi, more money going into the elections, as well as to facilitate them and to provide them with all that is required. When this happens, the people of the country will lose money again, don't you think?
Exactly, as you correctly said, that this time 8,356, I think, the numbers will be selected. For example, in Colombo municipality, we had 53 members. Now it's 110 with the new electoral system. It's almost double plus something more. So all these costs has to bear by the citizens with our taxpayers' money. Not all, I mean, not the official taxpayers, but also the citizens of the country. They have to bear all those costs. So at least these members will get 15,000 rupees per month. That is the official allowance will they get. But in addition, there may be so many facilities given by the local authorities. Depend on the resources which they have. Some local authorities, they will accommodate their transport. Sometimes the allowance for their sitting dates.
Yeah.
Sometimes they will get additionally communications. So many things they will get. This is completely from the people of the country.
Yeah.
So in case sometimes the people may absorb this if they change their the life in the village level, their how do you call the quality of the life. If they capable enough to improve the quality of the life in the village people. But in our experience, what they have done in the past, they most of them are contractors. I'm not saying the 100%.
Everyone is corrupt,
but most of them are corrupted people. So that is why people are little reluctant if they increase the number. What are the impact? Whether it will be a positive impact
the
or
corruption
the
will double.
Exactly.
Chaturanga, I see it in different way. We know whatever we consume, it has a price tag. Basically, if you are not concerned about the price tag, you have to, get rid of that particular service what you are looking for. When it comes to the local elections, having number of people will definitely increase the service to the people. Why I am saying is, I mean, we have seen for last 2 years or so in the areas where no public representation down there for the councils, the water supply, electricity, the services, the garbage collection, the day-to-day, there were 6 the cemeteries which have created and established, which has not gone for the service for almost 3 years. Down there, this just was there some sort of issue. And when it comes to the Ruanwella, I read a very interesting article from a government serviceman. They have created this public polar down there, a fair place, where all the farmers, I mean, the Ruanwella is known for the farmers. So still they have not opened the premises for 2 years. Why? What is the problem down there? The political leadership is the key when it comes to the local councils. The people, I don't see that whether it's a AVP, UNP or whatever the person, even the independent member goes to the people, goes to the public. If the public comes with a demand, they address the issue. That's the nature of the local elections, local administration. So increasing the number will definitely increase the quality of the council.
Mr. Tenagon and Mr. Etienne, now I want to focus your attention onto a different issue with time very quickly running out. Now, I come from an electorate. The electorate belongs to the former finance minister, Ravi Karnanayak. Now, when time was there, when the former government was there, the allegation that the people raised were the lack of road systems. Roads are dilapidated in that area. They said, look, the government is not ours, we can't do anything when the government is not ours. Then the time came by, then the government toppled and the UNP government came into place, the roads are still not built. Then they said, look, the tenure of the municipal councils have expired, we can't build the roads because you don't have the money coming through the municipal council. Up to date, the roads are still in that state. But now, as soon as the elections were announced, we see that there is this, spiked up excitement and the roads, the carpets are being laid, that sort of thing. Is this healthy for the country? Mr. Etienne?
I think we have to see in a different way. Sometimes, most of the government department, even in the local authorities level, sometimes their budget will come in the later part of the year. And I heard that some of the local authorities, they got the millions of money to complete this road issue, the road development, within 1.5 months. I heard that in my area, 500 million something within a very short period. So the time consuming, most of the government authorities, they will get the money last end. And also, you know, these government officers, they are in maturity to make a time plan to do all those things within a given period. That is there. But on the other hand, as you said, we have experienced in the past elections, the last minute, once they declare the elections, so everything, all the resources will come soon, and everybody will start their development in the area. This is, anybody can understand this is the real politics in the country. But on the thing is, at least if you get something, even though whether it is an election period, people are so happy. This is the situation.
Now, Mr. Tennakoon, I want to ask you another interesting question. We see a cabinet minister coming forward and saying, look, the government is ours, the police is ours, if someone comes forward, we'll beat them and chase them away. Minister was the minister in charge of tourism and Christian affairs, Mr. John Amaratunga. You're an election monitor. What do you have to say?
This is, Minister John Amaratunga was very much closely associated with the Rajapaksa regime, and everyone knows it. It is a public secret.
I think we went to Rome
and with the delegation and all that. So I think he still thinks that sort of a political culture can win the elections, and he has forgot the fact that culture did not help to win the Rajapaksa's elections finally. And I think, now the UNP card holders get beaten, and they had so much of harassments on ground. JVP got so much of harassments on ground. Now it's, in a sense, they are having some sort of powers, the police and the other people politically backed in end. But here, this is not the time to take revenge. And the other hand, those practices will not take place, even though those practices, if someone try to exercise that, they will get some sort of a penalty for that. We have seen the first parliamentarian who get arrested after January 2015 is a UNP parliamentarian. Now the ministers are coming into the police stations, they go to the courts, they go to the commissions and all that. We saw Kabir is coming, we saw Malik is coming, even the Prime Minister is coming. We saw Hirunika Premchandra. It's a small, when comparing to the abductions, the real abductions, Hirunika's case was he hardly can call a crime. But here, even that parliamentarians has to come into the police station, you have to record the statements and then go into report to the police, and the judicial process is taking place. So basically, I think even though whatever these ministers are saying, if someone try to do that, definitely they have to pay the penalty. We are having a free country now. Yesterday I was at the Supreme Court. I walked in, I drew my vehicle and I parked the vehicle. I walked up to the Supreme Court, some 200 meters down there. I make our case, made out, and I spoke to the media. And after that, I came all the way down, only myself, and drew the car to my place office. Earlier, to do that sort of a thing, we need at least 3 vehicles, some 10 people to surround you, otherwise we will get shot. But here we are having a free country to express ourselves at least. So that sort of a freedom we have to care of. The people, I think, will one day value that freedom more than anything else.
Now, Mr. Hettiarach, I want to ask you one final question. If ministers try to carry out corruption or actually say statements that are not so healthy in terms of this, we will also expose what those ministers have. It's a simple thing, we are the media. But Mr. Hettiarach, when things like this happen, when a cabinet minister of a country comes forward and says, look, we are the police, will beat you and chase you away, as an election monitor, what do you feel?
I think this is not what we expected from this so-called good governance government. Not personally myself, but the entire country. I think this is the time where we are getting a chance to select our representative. So we need the people of the country need to think, and they should decide which kind of people they are going to elect for the upcoming local government. This is actually this time people can get a more close membership, the representative in their locality. So immediately we can't change these parliament members or cabinet ministers, but we can give them a signal.
Yes.
If you are behaving like this, we are not respect you. We are not selecting you in the next round of elections. This is the only chance where we are getting near future, because we do not know when the provincial council elections will take place. Nobody knows. I don't know, even the God can say. So now we have little assurance, or maybe, I mean, in a case in the court has made some different decisions, it will collapse, but we know somewhere around February we will face for the local elections. So the people of those area, they can give the signal to their cabinet minister, their representative. If you behave like this, actually some of these ministers, the senior politicians, they need to, now they are, I mean, some of them are more than 80 years old.
They are expired. So they showed by they showed by their behavior that they are not belonging to this particular generation of politics.
Yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here with us this morning. Thank you, Mr. Hettiarachchi. Thank you, Mr. Tennakoon.
Pleasure.
Both reputed election monitors in our country. I want to, as Mr. Tennakoon and Mr. Hettiarachchi says, before we wrap up, Mr. Hettiarachchi said that the people can give a signal to all these politicians. Yes, as Mr. Tennakoon also said, the people who are giving out statements like this, are they properly able to carry out their duties as politicians, duties as cabinet ministers of our country, is a big question mark that we all have to find the answer for. Thank you very much for watching. You have been watching Newsline. We'll be joining you on Monday as well with an interesting guest, or two guests like we have today. Thank you very much for watching.